Source: Yurusei Yatsura. Welcome back to AniRecaps. Like and subscribe so you never miss our quality uploads. Multiple Oni dreadnoughts, all led by Lum's father, begin to invade the world as Ataru tries to talk to Shinobu about his feelings for her. She believes him for a moment, but looks at another girl who passes by them. MC couldn't help but compliment her, which causes Shinobu to get mad. Dejected that Shinobu rejected him, the wandering monk Cherry appears, believing he is about to jump off the bridge he was leaning over. Instead, Cherry manages to knock him off the bridge, and MC fell into the stream of water. Later, by a vending machine, Ataru clarifies to Cherry that he wasn't going to jump off the bridge, even though Cherry saw the shadow of death surrounding him. To that, Ataru denotes that just because a girl dumped him doesn't mean he planned on killing himself. Cherry then proclaims that Ataru's face is one of a great disaster. Angry MC wraps Cherry in a bandage and tries to clarify what he meant, but our MC doesn't want to hear it as he tries to leave. However, Cherry appears before him again and formally introduces himself to our MC. Just then, Shinobu and his mother appear before them, noting they were concerned for him. Right as Ataru asked about why government officials surrounded him, they lead him back home where Lum's father, who was sitting at the living room table with his family. Lum's father greets MC, but he throws beans at him as a way to expel him from the house. Lum's father jovially takes the gesture, but the Oni soldiers soon stop our MC. Lum's father informs him to take a seat as he's not going anywhere. It turns out that the Oni invaders have chosen our MC to partake in a game, where if MC wins, the Oni invaders will leave the Earth, but if he loses, they'll conquer it. The game that the Oni had in mind was tag. As MC processes this, a cute Oni warps down from the mothership and introduces herself as Lum. Rules of the game to MC, who is it. He must grab Lum's horns within 10 days to win. Hearing that, MC proclaims in a lewd way that he'll accomplish it. This prompts Shinobu to get mad at our playboy, and she storms out of his home. Accepting the challenge, Lum's father happily announces that the game will start the next day. The following day, at a stadium filled with humans on one side and Oni on the other. At the start of the game, Ataru immediately tries to hug Lum, but she dodges it by flying into the air. Annoyed that Lum can fly, she tells Ataru that he should have studied more about her race before attempting to touch her. For the next 9 days, MC keeps struggling to even get closer to her, but to no avail, and the Earth's future seems bleak. Both of Ataru's parents note how he will be treated like a pariah for failing to save the Earth. Cherry, who was also there, asks when our main boy was born. Hence, Ataru's mother details his date of birth, and she and his father then detail all of the unfortunate mishaps that occurred after his birth. Hearing this prompts Cherry to claim MC is misfortune incarnate, leaving Ataru's parents to feel dejected by the news. Laying on his futon bed in his room, Shinobu and his other friends try to console our sad MC. Our lover girl promises to marry MC if he succeeds, but Ataru believes it to be a bluff. On the other hand, Shinobu claims she's being honest, and Ataru takes it to heart. On the last day of the game, Ataru earnestly struggles to try and capture Lum and finally manages to grab onto one of her legs. However, Lum then electroshocks MC into submission and walks away. Despite being electrocuted, Ataru's determination to grab Lum's horns so he can marry Shinobu burns fiercely, and he tries again to grab Lum's horns. Managing to grab onto Lum again, Ataru accidentally removes her bra and uses it as a lure for him, and he finally manages to grab onto her horns. In the aftermath of this situation, Lum misunderstands Ataru's marriage proposal. Lum agrees to marry him, and her father also consents to the marriage, and Ataru again earns Shinobu's disdain. The next day, Ataru sits by the TV with his family as he relishes a couple of girls doting on him. Out of nowhere, Lum appears, creating a loud explosion, and proclaims she'll be living with him from now on. Lum shocks MC in his room, claiming he's not allowed to cheat on her. MC claims he was merely trying to talk to Shinobu. After shocking him again, he breaks up with Lum and leaves his room. Believing he's finally free of Lum, a beat and battered Ataru heads downstairs to his home's telephone to call Shinobu, who is elated that Lum is finally out of the picture. On the other hand, Lum manages to connect to the call and claim they're still together, provoking Shinobu to break up with MC again. Afterward, Ataru gets into an argument with his mother, and his father tries to distract them from it by redirecting their attention to the news about a missing aircraft, but he fails. MC contacts his lover girl again, which Lum interrupts once again, but our main boy manages to convince her to hear him out. Agitated over this, Lum amplifies her radio jamming signal, causing a helicopter to disappear. The event makes the news and features MC on his phone at the time of occurrence. Furthermore, the newscasters elaborate that MC was talking to Shinobu and Lum during the helicopter's disappearance, claiming their conversations have created a black hole of sorts. Ataru, now determined to meet with Shinobu in person, and decides to leave his house to accomplish this. Lum then creates a wicked thunderstorm outside. Before Ataru heads outside, his father gives him a raincoat he wore as a kid. The father-son bonding moment is interrupted by Cherry, who appears before them and claims he'll join MC in his final moments. En route to Shinobu's home, a bolt of lightning strikes down a telephone pole, and Cherry tries to knock Ataru out of the way, but he instead knocks him into it. In a fit of rage, Ataru picks up and slams Cherry into a bolt of lightning. Observing the scene from her ship, Lum amplifies the thunderstorm her ship created, causing a city-wide blackout. Once MC and Shinobu finally get together, Lum crashes her ship into the ground where they were located. Separated, Ataru tries to regroup with Shinobu, but mistakenly grabs onto Lum, causing Shinobu to slam a telephone pole into his head. Eventually, Ataru is held responsible for the damage to the city and the two missing aircraft, as he fails to try and patch things up with Shinobu. At school, teacher Onsen recites a verse from a book in English as Lum fondles Ataru, much to Shinobu's dismay. Onsen then throws a piece of chalk at Ataru and scolds him for disrupting the class, but Ataru claims he's innocent and blames Lum. Shinobu then bursts into tears about the predicament. This causes some girls in the class to scold Ataru, as does a group of boys who claim that Lum is too good for him. To make matters worse, Lum kisses MC, which makes Shinobu get real mad jealous. That night, MC is shown to be patched up after the altercation from that day as Lum apologizes to him. Ataru brushes it off and asks her to leave, but instead, Lum gives him a shock cuddle. The following day at the Cat and Caboodle Diner, Ataru incognito tries to enjoy some ramen until Lum appears on the TV asking where he is. Ataru's mother and father and Shinobu also appear on the TV begging MC to return home. Cherry also appears on the TV, claiming he knows where he is, and a photo of Ataru's current appearance is shown as a reference. In light of this, Ataru rushes out of the diner and bumps into a woman who claims the shock of their encounter has put a strain on her heart. Hoping to help the woman with a lewd act, the woman slaps our playboy in the face and notes his bad luck will only worsen if he continues being a sleazeball. She then claims that her physiognomy told her everything about him. Later at a park, all of her years as a shrine maiden, she's never encountered someone as unfortunate as he. Furthermore, she claims that MC has a great misfortune with women, which Ataru confirms and again tries to suggest to help her lewdly, but gets whacked by a garbage can. Succumbing again to her faintness, the woman agrees to perform an exorcism on Ataru at her temple. At the temple, the woman calls out to her mother that she's home, and her mother reveals the woman's name as Sakura. Meeting Sakura's mother causes Ataru to realize that they're related to Cherry, and when he tries to flee, Sakura's mother catches him under Sakura's orders. Inside of a special room in Sakura's home, Ataru again tries to flee, but is stopped again by Sakura, who now has a massive canker sore caused by a decaying tooth. As Sakura tries to exorcise MC, she fails due to the pain caused by her tooth, and her potent negative aura summons a swarm of yokai that ravel onto our poor MC. Not caring about the yokai, Sakurai continues her exorcism, but fails again and gets a migraine. However, Sakura's stubborn nature doesn't allow her to quit, and Sakura's mother begs her to stop. As more and more yokai begin to latch onto MC, Sakura becomes healthy after being freed from all of the yokai's control. Sakura's mother then hugs her daughter. Thankful for MC's unintentional sacrifice, Sakura exorcises the yokai attached to him, but in doing so, summons the Grim Reaper, which slices him. Afterward, in a hospital, MC lays in a hospital bed surrounded by his loved ones and the Grim Reaper close by. The presence of a nurse entering his room, hoping to ask him a question, has MC wake up from his slumber and ask for the nurse's number, causing Lum to shock him and the Reaper. After Lum shocks MC into submission for cheating on her again, MC meets with Cherry to request that he strip Lum of her powers. Unbeknownst to Ataru, Lum was eavesdropping on the conversation. She then punished him by chasing and shocking him several times. Later, Satoshi visits MC's home and gives MC a small box that Cherry entrusted Satoshi to deliver to MC. Inside the box was a ribbon with a note from Cherry that contained instructions on how to use said ribbon to strip Lum's power by tying it to her horns. It's also noted that only the person who tied it onto the victim's horns will be able to remove it. Just then, Lum appears and MC coaxes Lum into wearing the ribbon. Excited to wear the ribbon, Lum tries to fly out of MC's room, only to fall flat on the ground outside. Afterward, Satoshi and MC stalk Lum as she struggles to fly into the air. Lum soon runs into Akira, who asks if she's alright. In turn, Lum grabs Akira's hand and tries to shock him, but to no avail. The act causes Akira to misinterpret the situation and confess his love for her. Satoshi then steps in, smacks him on the back of the head with his shoe, and starts arguing with Akira. Lum then grasps Satoshi's hand, who confesses his love to Lum and is smacked on the back of his head by Akira. MC then approaches Lum and asks if she's alright, but Lum confesses that she may be sick or something. Alerted by what they heard, Akira and Satoshi panic as Shinobu arrives and is informed of the situation by Satoshi, much to MC's chagrin. Upset that within all of the time MC has known her, lover girl tries to take off Lum's ribbon, but MC steps in to prevent her from doing that. Our lover girl takes this gesture as MC favoring Lum and leaves, but when MC tries to explain why, he's kicked in the face by her. That night, both Akira and Satoshi insist on staying at MC's home and protecting Lum until she recovers, much to MC's dismay and Lum's disapproval. A fight then breaks out between MC and his friends, who after a fight got tossed out of his room. His act gets Lum's approval, who praises MC for what he did and insists they share a bed for the night. Furthermore, Lum promises to stay by MC's side for life, which disconcerts MC and demands that Lum remove the ribbon from her horns. On the other hand, Lum refuses and a struggle between them ensues that Akira and Satoshi overhear and break into MC's room to stop him from what they perceive as something lewd to Lum. However, Lum calls the two the perverted ones and starts to throw a bunch of MC stuff at them, one of which is Cherry's box. The box hits Akira in the chin, causing it to open up and reveal the letter inside. Satoshi then reads it aloud and reveals the ribbon's purpose, which causes Lum to lose it on MC. Once MC finally removes the ribbon from Lum's horns, Lum gives MC a well-deserved shock and vows to do the same to Cherry. Elsewhere, sensing he's in danger, Cherry packs up his tent and flees to Sakura's home to avoid the danger he foresaw. Meanwhile, Mendo tells his grandfather that he's off to study and later parachutes off an airplane to the Tomobiki High School. Mendo is seen off by his grandfather as he heads to his new school by leaping out of an airplane. At school, a furious Shinobu tosses desks at MC while Lum is attached to him. When Shinobu tosses a desk out the window, the class is left astounded by the big parachute with a red drawing on it, covering up their classroom windows. Outside, the students gathered around the tree where an upside-down Mendo held onto a desk because his parachute was entangled in the tree branches. Leaping down from the tree, Onsen learns that Mendo is the new transfer student, but scolds him for flying into school, but Mendo completely ignores him over the fact. Shinobu then approaches Mendo and apologizes for throwing the desk at him. Her appearance captivates Mendo, and in a courting fashion, requests that she forget her misconduct toward him and smile. MC then tries to intervene, only to get hurt by Shinobu. Later in class 2 to 4, some girls in the class surround Mendo and ask him about his family background. After answering it, Mendo sees MC bothering Shinobu by biting onto her desk, thus rebuking him for doing that. Mendo then greets Shinobu and asks that MC the stupid to leave, but he refuses as Shinobu is his girl. Just then, Lum shocks MC, proclaiming that he's her betrothed and seeing Lum on the air. Mendo steps on MC's back and grasps Lum's arm while advising her of the danger of flying in the air. Releasing herself from Mendo's grasp, Lum clarifies that she's not a schoolgirl and then introduces herself as Lum and is married to MC. Hearing this shocks Mendo, who then disparagingly speaks about the ugly qualities of MC's face and admonishes Lum's marriage. However, she retorts that he should keep his opinions to himself. Afterward, Lum rests on a tree branch while Onsen announces that their class will be holding an election for the class committee, raising the question of who wants to become class president. Mendo volunteers himself and shares his vision with the class. When he gets provoked by a couple of students sitting in the back, his first rule is harsh disciplinary action against tardy students, leaving early and playing hooky. The vision Mendo foretold had the students in the class speechless. He also adds the fact that girls in the class are excused from disciplinary actions, which annoyed the boys. Not wanting Mendo as their class president, the boys in the class decide that MC should be their president. So when MC steps up to give his speech, he flubs it by claiming all the girls in the class will be his. Once the vote is held to decide, it gets a tie that utterly shocked Mendo, so he proposes a duel between them for the presidential position. The duel is settled the way the Mendo family does, cleanly shooting an apple placed on top of the opponent's head with a cannon. To follow the official tradition of proposing a duel, Mendo tries to throw a glove at MC, but he dodges it like a monkey. Being chased to the rooftop, Mendo corners MC and prepares to throw a glove at MC as Lum appears above and sees MC's situation. Once Mendo throws his glove at MC, Lum flies down and gets hit by it, much to Mendo's chagrin. Taking advantage of the situation, MC tells Lum that Mendo had challenged him to a duel. Enraged by this, Lum shocks him to the ground, and some boys from the class reach the rooftop and see that Mendo is passed out and figures MC won the duel. Although Lum is confused by this, MC gags her and takes full credit. Unable to handle the burden of his loss, Mendo proclaims he'll commit seppuku, and the girls in the class plead with Mendo not to. Mendo meditates in a room, and his encounters with Lum fill his mind, making him experience feelings of uncertainty. One of his servants then tells him the plane has reached his school. Down at the school, Lum asks where MC is, but learns he's not there. So when she flies off, Mendo descends from the sky, and Lum bumps into him. Believing that Lum couldn't wait to see him again, Lum corrects Mendo that she was searching for her darling MC and got entangled by Mendo's parachute. Elsewhere, MC meets with Shinobu to talk with her about whether or not she has feelings for Mendo, and she instantly confirms it, much to his chagrin. As MC tries to convince Shinobu to choose him instead of Mendo, Lum and he landed on top of them. The sequential interaction between Shinobu and Mendo makes her heart flutter and runs off gleefully. Mendo then tries to check on Lum, but is snubbed by her, who is, in turn, snubbed by MC, whose attempt to court Shinobu had failed. Left alone, Mendo realizes his feelings for Lum are love. Afterward, the class is tasked with forming bonds with each other as a way to cultivate camaraderie with one another. Lum chooses to stick with MC, who had hoped to spend time with Shinobu. They're then approached by Mendo, who invites Lum to visit a limestone cave nearby. Lum agrees on the condition that MC join them. At first, MC refuses, however, he decides to go along after realizing caves tend to be dark and he could use that kind of situation to get closer to Shinobu. So he invites Shinobu along, hoping to seize the moment with her by winning her heart over while they're in there. Shinobu, Lum and Mendo had a similar plan, but with different persons in mind. Mendo leads the group inside the cave with a flashlight. Halfway through it, they reach a fork in the cave, and following MC's plan, Mendo and MC split into two groups. The end result leads to Mendo and MC not getting the respective girl they wanted. When they regroup, Mendo voices his disdain for MC, and later they debrief over their covert plan. Until they reach another fork in the road and try again, but the end result with the two of them are stuck together. Mendo and MC then head forward, calling out to Lum and Shinobu. However, as they progress, they reach a three-way fork. Anxious by their predicament, Mendo cries and confesses to MC that he has both nyctophobia and claustrophobia, and the only thing that kept him calm and sane was the ladies that accompanied him. A few minutes later, the voices of both Shinobu and Lum could then be heard, and when they group with the boys, Mendo pulls a 180 and returns to his gallant, charismatic self. That was until MC covered the girl's eyes a few times, and Mendo had another meltdown each time. The group then retraces their steps backward until Mendo's flashlight dies. Frustrated by their predicament, Lum uses her electric powers to light up the area, causing what appeared to be a spaceship to reactivate and fly into space. Meanwhile, the spaceship that flew off was now in Earth's orbit, and inside of it rested a young lady inside of a pod, which we'll get to know in the next part. With this, we end our video. Stay tuned for the next part and watch our other quality contents. Stay safe. Bye.